There are places on this planet that defy everything we know about Earth. Places where mountains glow like embers, where lakes shimmer in impossible colors, and where silence feels alive, whispering of worlds we've never seen. They say we've mapped every corner of this planet. But what if that's not true? What if hidden between oceans and deserts are landscapes so surreal they belong to another realm entirely? From the boiling acid pools of Ethiopia, to the mirror skies of Bolivia, to deserts that burn blue under the moonlight, this is not science fiction. This is Earth, a planet of extremes, illusions, and miracles sculpted by time, fire, and chaos. Prepare to question reality itself as we journey to the edges of creation, because what you're about to see doesn't just look unreal, it is unreal. Vast red dunes that look like Martian landscapes, dead trees frozen in time, and ghost towns buried under sand. Explore Namibia's surreal skeleton coast and deadfly where silence feels otherworldly. Imagine standing in a place so silent, so vast, that it feels like you've stepped onto another planet. The air shimmers with heat. The horizon stretches endlessly, painted in hues of red, gold, and white. This isn't Mars. This is Namibia, one of Earth's last true alien frontiers. From above, the Namib Desert looks like an artist's masterpiece, waves of crimson dunes rolling endlessly toward the sea. But on the ground, it's something much deeper, almost spiritual. Every grain sand carries the weight of time. Some of these dunes are estimated to be over 5 million years old, making them the oldest in the world. And when the wind moves, they whisper a deep, ghostly hum that sounds like the planet itself breathing. In the early morning, as the sun begins to rise, the desert awakens in fire. The famous Dune 45, in Sossusvlei, glows in surreal shades of amber and scarlet. Travelers climb its steep ridge to watch dawn spill across the desert floor. And for a few fleeting minutes, it feels like standing at the edge of the universe. The light shifts, the air shivers, and suddenly, you're reminded how small humanity truly is in the face of this vast, otherworldly expanse. But the Namib's magic doesn't stop with its beauty. It hides worlds frozen in time. Beneath a blazing sky lies Deadfly, a salt pan so white it reflects the sun like glass. Scattered across it are the skeletal remains of 900-year-old camel thorn trees, their branches blackened and dry, yet perfectly preserved. They've stood here for centuries, untouched by decay, as if waiting for something or someone to remember them. Walking through Deadfly feels like stepping into a dream, or perhaps a memory from another world. The cracked earth beneath your feet glows under the desert light, and the silence is absolute. There are no birds, no wind, only stillness. Not far away lies the eerie skeleton coast, a place so strange it defies imagination. Where the desert meets the Atlantic Ocean, fog drifts inland like a living spirit, swallowing everything in its path. Rusted shipwrecks scatter the shore, their bones half buried in sand, reminders of those who dared to cross this deadly line between sea and sand. Locals call it the land God made in anger. But for travelers, it's a place of haunting beauty, a collision of two worlds that shouldn't exist together yet somehow do. The coastline is littered with whale bones, bleached white under the sun, and beyond them, endless dunes rise like frozen waves. Even life here seems alien. The Welwitschia plant, one of the strangest organisms on Earth, thrives in this harsh wilderness. It has only 2 leaves, but they grow continuously for thousands of years, twisting and curling like the limbs of some ancient creature. Scientists call it a living fossil, a plant that predates modern evolution. And in the moonlit desert, tiny beetles collect water from the fog by raising their bodies toward the sky, an adaptation that feels like science fiction brought to life. But Namibia isn't lifeless. It's alive in ways we can barely comprehend. In the far north, within Damaraland, desert elephants roam freely across sunburned valleys, their shadows long against the sand. These creatures have learned to survive with almost no water, walking for miles between rare oases. They represent resilience in its purest form, a quiet defiance against the impossible. Then, as night falls, something miraculous happens. The sky opens, revealing a blanket of stars so dense it feels like the heavens have descended. There are no city lights here, no pollution, nothing to blur the view, just infinite darkness, illuminated by constellations stretching across eternity. The Milky Way cuts through the desert sky like a river of light, and you realize you're standing in one of the few places left on Earth where you can still see the universe as our ancestors did. In Namibia, time moves differently. The wind sculpts, the sand whispers, and the horizon swallows everything. It's not a place that welcomes comfort, it challenges you. It humbles you. It reminds you that nature doesn't need to be lush or green to be alive. Here, in the heart of Africa's oldest desert, beauty is born from emptiness, and silence becomes the loudest story ever told. As you leave the dunes behind, your footprints fade, almost instantly erased by the desert wind. It's as if you were never here at all, and yet, something lingers. A feeling that you've walked across another world, touched a fragment of eternity, and glimpsed what Earth looked like before time began. This is Namibia, the alien desert of our own planet. Otherworldly, unforgiving, and absolutely unforgettable. Journey across Salar de Uyuni, the world's largest salt flat. After the rain, it transforms into an endless mirror, reflecting the heavens, creating one of Earth's most surreal illusions. When you first see it, your mind struggles to accept it. A horizon so endless it seems to curve with the earth. A floor so wide it blinds the eyes. And after the rain, a reflection so perfect that the sky and ground merge into one. It's as if you've stepped off the planet entirely. This is Salar de Uyuni, Bolivia, the world's largest salt flat, and one of the most surreal places ever formed by nature. At over 10,000 square kilometers, Salar de Uyuni looks like a vast frozen sea, stretching farther than the human eye can see. But this is no ordinary desert. This is a mirror of the heavens, born from an ancient lake that evaporated thousands of years ago. What remains is a pristine crust of pure salt, cracked into endless geometric patterns that look almost man-made, like nature's own blueprint. And when the rains come, a thin layer of water turns it into the world's largest mirror, reflecting the sky so perfectly that it feels like you're walking through clouds. There are moments when the air is so still that it's impossible to tell where reality ends and reflection begins. The mountains in the distance appear to float. The sky stretches beneath your feet. And for a heartbeat, you can't tell if you're walking on Earth or through the stars. It's here that travelers lose themselves completely, surrounded by infinite silence and light. The sense of scale is beyond comprehension. It's both humbling and transcendent. But beneath this dreamlike beauty lies a story written in minerals and time. The salt crust hides one of the largest lithium reserves on Earth, the element that powers our modern world. Beneath the serenity, Salar de Uyuni holds the power to shape the future of technology. Yet for now, it remains a sacred, untouched realm, one that reveals its magic only to those who dare to venture far enough into its stillness. As the sun begins to rise, the flats transform again. The morning light scatters across the salt crystals, creating a sea of diamonds stretching toward the horizon. Each flake of salt glitters like stardust, and the reflection of the sky above becomes sharper, brighter, almost overwhelming. Flamingos wade through shallow pools, their pink feathers glowing against the blue-white expanse. In this place of extreme beauty, even the smallest life feels miraculous. By midday, the heat creates optical illusions, shimmering mirages that seem to move with every step. It's a strange and hypnotic experience, walking across the flats. Every direction looks the same. Every sound is absorbed by silence. and the vastness becomes meditative. It's easy to feel lost here, but also free, stripped of distraction, connected to something ancient and infinite. Scattered across this endless plain are islands of stone and cactus, rising like mirages from the salt. The most famous is Inkawazi Island, covered in towering cacti that can grow up to 10 meters tall. From its summit, you can see the entire salt flat stretching out in every direction, a white ocean under an infinite sky. The silence is absolute. Only the soft hiss of wind reminds you that this place is real. When night falls, the transformation is breathtaking. The air cools, the winds die down, and the reflection of the Milky Way appears on the surface, stars above and stars below. You're standing inside a cosmic illusion, suspended between earth and sky. It's said that Salar de Uyuni is one of the best places in the world for stargazing. And in that moment, it's easy to believe. The galaxies shimmer on the water like scattered gems. Time feels irrelevant. You are not just observing the universe, you are inside it. But perhaps the true wonder of this place is how it reminds us of balance, of how beauty can emerge from desolation. What was once a drying lakebed has become one of Earth's greatest masterpieces. And even as science and technology look toward it for resources, it continues to remind us that nature's power lies not just in what it gives, but in what it shows us the infinite potential of our own planet. As dawn breaks once more, the mirror of the world begins to fade, the water evaporates, and the flats return to white silence. The illusion disappears, but the memory doesn't. Salar de Uyuni leaves a mark not on the land, but on the soul. You came to see another world and found it waiting here, on this one. This is Bolivia's gift to the earth, a place that reflects the universe itself. A salt kingdom born of ancient waters, a mirror of the sky, and a reminder that sometimes the most unreal places are the ones that exist quietly beneath our feet. A realm of volcanoes, glaciers, and glowing blue ice caves. Iceland's contrasting forces shape a world that looks both ancient and futuristic, where nature constantly redefines its boundaries. It begins with a roar, a deep, echoing rumble beneath your feet that seems to come from the center of the earth itself. Steam rises from fissures in the ground, while distant glaciers glimmer under pale sunlight. This is Iceland, a land that feels like it shouldn't exist, a world forged in contradiction, where fire and ice collide to create one of the most unreal landscapes on our planet. Everywhere you look, nature is alive. Lava fields stretch endlessly, covered in moss so green it glows against the black stone. Waterfalls thunder down from cliffs that seem to pierce the clouds. The air smells of rain, sulfur, and electricity, the scent of creation itself. In Iceland, the earth isn't sleeping. It's moving, shifting, breathing beneath your feet. And in every moment, it feels like you're witnessing the planet's beginning. The journey often begins near Reykjavik, Iceland's capital, a small, colorful city surrounded by raw wilderness. Within an hour's drive, you can step into another world. The Golden Circle holds some of the country's most otherworldly wonders. Geysers that erupt skyward in bursts of steam, waterfalls crashing into icy ravines, and landscapes so open they blur the line between land and sky. At Geysir, boiling water explodes from the ground every few minutes, reaching heights of 30 meters. The air hisses and sizzles, as if the earth itself is exhaling. Just nearby, the mighty Gullfoss waterfall roars through the canyon of the Hevita River, its twin cascades thundering into a misty abyss. Stand at the edge, and the spray touches your face, carrying the energy of ancient glaciers that still feed it today. Then there's Yngvellir National Park, where the earth literally splits apart. Here, you can walk between two tectonic plates, the North American and Eurasian, as they slowly drift away from each other. It's one of the few places on Earth where you can see the planet's architecture exposed. Every crack, every ridge, every shadowed crevice whispers the story of Earth's formation. You can even dive between the plates and sill for a fissure, where the glacial water is so pure you can see over 100 meters deep. Floating between continents feels like drifting through another dimension. But Iceland's surrealism reaches its peak further south, where black sands meet ice. The Jökulsárlón Glacier Lagoon is one of the most hauntingly beautiful places on Earth. Giant icebergs break off from the glacier and drift across the lagoon, glowing in shades of blue, turquoise, and white. Some are smooth like glass, others sharp as crystal. They move silently toward the ocean, where the waves carry them to the nearby Diamond Beach, a black shore scattered with glittering chunks of ice, shining like gemstones under the cold. Sunday, travelers walk among them in awe, watching the sea breathe life into the frozen sculptures. The contrast of fire and ice here is so vivid that it feels unreal. It's as if two worlds have collided and decided to coexist in fragile harmony. And yet, Iceland is far from peaceful. Beneath this calm beauty lies fire, a world of volcanoes waiting in silence. In 2010, the eruption of Eyjafjallajökull sent ash clouds across Europe, grounding thousands of flights. But to Icelanders, this is simply life, the constant dance between creation and destruction. The island grows a little more each time a volcano erupts, its landscape reshaped in real time. On clear nights, the red glow of lava reflects on the horizon, painting the sky in apocalyptic beauty. But perhaps the greatest wonder of all comes not from the ground, but from the heavens. When the winter nights grow long and the skies clear, the aurora borealis begins to dance. Curtains of green, purple, and blue ripple across the night, moving like liquid light. The first time you see it, silence takes over, because words can't reach what your soul feels in that moment. The northern lights aren't just a spectacle. They're a reminder that this planet is alive with energy beyond understanding. Iceland is a paradox. It's harsh, cold, and unforgiving, yet it pulses with warmth and power. It's the youngest landmass on Earth, still forming, still burning, still breathing. Every eruption, every glacier, every storm is part of its heartbeat. And through it all, Iceland remains a place that defies logic, a living sculpture carved by elements in eternal conflict. As you leave its black beaches and steaming valleys behind, you realize Iceland isn't just a place, it's an experience. It's where you come face to face with the raw energy of creation, where the boundaries between heaven and earth dissolve. Here, fire meets ice, chaos meets beauty, and time itself stands still, reminding us that our world, for all its familiarity, still holds places that feel utterly alien. This is Iceland, a planet within a planet, where Earth reveals what it's truly made of. The Eyjafjallajökull National Park, an explosion of rainbow-colored hills that look digitally rendered but are 100% real. Discover the geological miracle behind this painter's dream. At first glance, it looks like a dream, a horizon of mountains splashed with every color imaginable. Crimson ridges rise beside bands of gold, violet, and emerald. The light shifts, and the hues deepen, flowing like oil on water. This is the Eyjafjallajökull landform, hidden within the Gansu province of northwestern China, one of the most surreal places on Earth. It's not a painting. It's not digital art. It's a living canvas created by nature over millions of years, where geology became pure art. When the sun rises, the mountains glow in waves of red and orange, illuminating layers so vivid it feels impossible they're real. As the day moves on, the colors shift soft pastels under a high sun, deep blood reds at dusk. Every hour, the landscape transforms, like an artist repainting their masterpiece again and again. Standing there, you're overwhelmed by silence, the kind of silence that belongs only to ancient worlds, untouched and eternal. The story of Eyjafjallajökull began 24 million years ago, when mineral-rich sandstone and siltstone accumulated in layers, one atop another. Over time, tectonic movement thrust these layers upward, sculpting sharp peaks, deep valleys, and rolling hills. The minerals in each layer oxidized differently, iron, copper, and other trace elements painting the earth in distinct pigments. Then, wind and rain carve the terrain into mesmerizing formations. The result? A landscape that seems too perfectly designed to be random, but it is. Every grain of sand shaped by nature's patient hand. When you walk through this alien terrain, the ground itself feels sacred. The texture of the rock shifts beneath your feet. Rough here, smooth there, as if each ridge tells a different story. Some hills appear like frozen waves, others like giant folds of silk cascading toward the horizon. There are no trees, no animals in sight, just a vast, silent expanse of color and stone. It's both haunting and beautiful, a reminder that the Earth's palette holds shades no artist could ever truly capture. One of the most striking spots is Linze Dangxia Scenic Area, the most famous section of the park. Here, the mountains resemble flames frozen in motion, scarlet peaks licking at the sky. Visitors come from across the world to stand on viewing platforms and watch the landscape change as clouds pass overhead. At sunrise, a golden light seeps through the mist, turning the hills into molten bronze. At sunset, the reds deepen to maroon, the shadows lengthen, and the air cools until all you hear is the soft whistle of wind across stone. But the beauty of Zhangye Dangxia isn't just visual, it's emotional. There's a strange peace in standing before something so incomprehensibly vast and ancient. You realize how young humanity truly is compared to the planet beneath our feet. Each colored stripe represents a different age of the Earth, a silent record of time, pressure, and transformation. It's like reading the story of the planet written in color. To the locals, this place carries a spiritual aura. Dangxia means rosy cloud in Chinese, and ancient poets once described such landscapes as the resting place of immortals. There's a feeling here, an energy that makes you slow down and breathe differently. The air feels thinner, clearer, as if it's been filtered through eons of untouched stillness. And yet, for all its beauty, Zhangye Dangxia remains remote and relatively untouched. It lies far from China's bustling cities, surrounded by desert plains and quiet villages. The isolation only adds to its dreamlike quality. As you drive through the dusty roads leading there, the world begins to fade until suddenly, color bursts across the horizon like an explosion. It's a moment of awe that no photograph, no drone footage, no film can fully replicate. You have to be there to see how sunlight moves across the ridges and how the air seems to shimmer with heat and color. For photographers and travelers, Zhangye is a pilgrimage, a place where the line between art and geology dissolves. Each viewpoint reveals something new: a ridge that looks like a sleeping dragon, a slope shaped like rolling silk, a canyon cut into symmetrical perfection. You can spend hours just watching shadows crawl slowly over the hills, revealing hidden tones of purple and rose. But when night falls, the surrealism deepens. The stars appear like scattered gems above a landscape already rich in color. Under moonlight, the reds turn silver, the yellows pale to white. The Dangxia Mountains become something else entirely still, ghostly, and impossibly beautiful. The silence of the desert amplifies every sound: the crunch of your boots, the soft hum of the wind. In those moments, you realize this isn't just a place, it's an emotion carved into stone. Zhangye Dangxia stands as proof that the earth itself is an artist capable of creating works of unimaginable beauty through time, pressure, and chaos. It reminds us that there are corners of this world untouched by human hands, where nature still paints freely on her vast canvas. In a world so dominated by the artificial, places like this remind us of what's real, that beneath all our cities and screens, the planet still holds magic, color, and stories waiting to be seen. This is Zhangye Dangxia, a rainbow carved into stone, a masterpiece millions of years in the making, a place so breathtaking It feels less like Earth and more like another planet entirely. A massive pit of eternal flame burning for over 50 years. The Darvaza gas crater is one of the most haunting, mesmerizing, and alien sights on the planet. It looks like a mirage at first. Endless sand dunes, heat shimmering on the horizon, and then suddenly, white. Towering chalk formations rise from the desert floor like frozen waves, ghostly figures, and broken towers of snow. But this isn't ice. This is Egypt's White Desert, one of the most surreal landscapes on Earth. A place so otherworldly that even astronauts have compared it to walking on the surface of another planet. Located deep in the Sahara, between the oases of Farafra and Baharia, the White Desert feels like a dream that's come to life. It's silent, hauntingly silent, except for the whisper of the desert wind that shapes the chalk and limestone into bizarre forms. Some look like mushrooms, others like towering phantoms or ancient statues guarding a forgotten kingdom. As the sun moves across the sky, the desert transforms blindingly white at noon, golden at dusk, and glowing silver under a full moon. But this place isn't new. It's 30 million years old, formed when the area was once covered by a vast, ancient sea. Over millions of years, the seabed turned to soft chalk and limestone. As the waters receded, wind and sand sculpted what remained into intricate formations that still stand today. Every ridge, every curve, every bizarre pillar tells a silent story of erosion, of time, carving art into the bones of the earth. When you walk across this desert, your footsteps make no sound. The ground beneath your feet feels powdery and cold, almost unreal. You look around and see shapes that seem alive: an eagle with outstretched wings, a sphinx, a giant mushroom, or a sleeping giant. The wind howls softly, brushing against these ghostly figures as if trying to speak their names. It's a place that makes you feel both tiny and infinite, lost and yet profoundly connected to the Earth's ancient rhythm. As the day fades, the White Desert reveals its greatest secret: the sunset. The white chalk turns deep gold, then crimson, then violet. The shadows stretch across the dunes, and the landscape seems to breathe with color. And when night finally falls, something magical happens. The stars explode across the sky in dazzling clarity. No city lights, no pollution, just a dome of endless darkness filled with constellations so bright they illuminate the desert itself. Under that celestial glow, the white formations shimmer faintly, as if reflecting a light not of this world. To spend a night here is to witness one of the most mystical experiences on the planet. Locals say the desert speaks at night, not with words, but with whispers of wind through stone. Campfires flicker against white cliffs, and the vast silence makes every crackle of flame feel amplified, sacred. You realize you are standing in a place where time has stopped, where the earth shows you what it was long before we existed. For travelers, the White Desert isn't just a destination. It's an encounter with something eternal. It challenges your sense of reality. You see beauty in silence, form in emptiness, and color in white. Many describe feeling a strange peace here, as if the desert absorbs human noise and replaces it with stillness. It's the kind of place that humbles you, a reminder that the planet's most stunning art was never man-made. Scientists and explorers have long studied the White Desert's geology, fascinated by how wind alone could carve such intricate forms. But beyond science, there's something deeply emotional about it, something you can't measure or explain. Perhaps it's because this place blurs the line between Earth and imagination. You could be standing on Mars or walking through a dream. You could swear the formations move slightly as the shadows shift, changing faces, shifting shapes, alive in their stillness. Some say the White Desert represents nature's purest expression, simplicity turned into perfection. Just stone, sand, and sky. Yet somehow, it feels complete. The vast emptiness doesn't feel lonely. It feels infinite. The horizon stretches forever, untouched by the modern world. And in that vast silence, you begin to understand something profound. Beauty doesn't always need color, noise, or movement. Sometimes it's found in the quiet, in the still breath of a land that hasn't changed in millions of years. The Bedouins who still roam this land know it. Well, they speak of spirits that dwell among the rocks, of stars that guide them through the night, and of the desert's eternal patience. For them, the white desert isn't lifeless. It's alive, listening, watching. When they sit by the fire and tell stories under the Milky Way, you realize that this place, so barren and silent, holds more life and history than any crowded city. When dawn breaks, the transformation begins again. The first light paints the desert pink, then gold, and the white stones gleam like jewels. It's as if the earth itself wakes up, stretching in quiet majesty. And for a brief, breathtaking moment, you forget that you're on Earth at all. The white desert of Egypt is not just a destination, it's a feeling, a presence, a reminder that the world we know still hides places that defy logic and imagination. It's a place where silence becomes music, where stillness tells a story, and where you remember deeply that our planet is far more mysterious than we'll ever understand. This is the white desert, Egypt's hidden moon on Earth, a place sculpted not by hands, but by time, wind, and wonder. A landscape so unreal, it could only belong to another world. Step into the night and watch the ocean come alive. On Vadhu Island, bioluminescent plankton illuminate the waves with neon blue light, making the beach glow like stars fallen to Earth. Imagine standing in a place where the earth and sky melt into one infinite horizon, where every step you take feels like walking through a dream. No edges, no boundaries, just light, reflection, and silence. Welcome to Salar de Uyuni in Bolivia, the world's largest salt flat and perhaps the most surreal landscape on our planet. It's as if heaven itself has come down to touch the earth. At first glance, it looks like a frozen ocean, a vast, white expanse stretching farther than the eye can see over 10,000 square kilometers of pure salt. But when rain falls, something magical happens. The surface turns into the largest natural mirror on Earth, perfectly reflecting the sky above. Clouds drift across the ground, the horizon disappears, and you suddenly feel as though you're floating in the heavens. Travelers who come here often describe it as a spiritual experience, a place where the universe folds in on itself, and you become part of the sky. This extraordinary wonder was born from ancient transformation. Millions of years ago, a massive prehistoric lake called Lake Minchin covered this part of the Andes. As it evaporated, minerals and salt were left behind, crystallizing into this blindingly white desert. Beneath its surface lies one of the largest reserves of lithium, the mineral that powers our modern world. But above it lies something far more precious: silence, beauty, and timelessness. When you walk across Salar de Uyuni, you lose all sense of scale. The world flattens, distances vanish, and everything feels both close and impossibly far away. The sunlight bounces off the ground with blinding intensity, and even your shadow seems to dissolve in the glare. During the dry season, the salt forms a perfect honeycomb pattern, geometric cracks stretching endlessly in every direction, each cell shaped by the slow rhythm of evaporation. It's nature's own mosaic, designed over millennia. But it's when the rains come that Salar de Uyuni becomes truly otherworldly. Just a few millimeters of water turn this barren salt crust into a flawless mirror that reflects everything above it. Clouds, sunsets, and stars. You can't tell where the earth ends and the sky begins. You can walk for hours and see your reflection stretching beside you, perfectly mirrored in the thin layer of water. The effect is hypnotic. It's no wonder photographers, dreamers, and travelers call this the place where heaven meets earth. As the sun sets, the transformation deepens. The sky turns crimson, gold, and violet, while the surface glows like liquid glass. The light bends in strange ways, creating illusions. Distant mountains appear to float, and your own footsteps seem suspended in midair. When night falls, the reflection of the Milky Way stretches endlessly beneath your feet. Stars shimmer above and below you, creating the illusion of walking through an infinite galaxy. It's one of the most breathtaking sights in the world, a cosmic mirror reflecting eternity itself. But the wonder doesn't stop there. Rising from the middle of this endless salt sea are tiny islands made of coral and covered in towering cacti. The most famous is Isla Inkawasi, a rocky outcrop that was once part of the ancient seabed. From its summit, you can see the entire salt flat unfold, a vast, dazzling ocean of white stretching to the horizon. The silence here is so complete, so total, that you can hear your heartbeat. The people who live near this desert, the Aymara and Quechua, see Salar de Uyuni as sacred. They tell stories of gods who wept tears of salt and left behind this glittering land as a memory of their sorrow. They harvest the salt by hand, as their ancestors did, carving it into gleaming bricks under the relentless Andean sunday. For them, this place isn't just a natural wonder, it's a source of life, legend, and identity. The Salt Flat also serves as one of Earth's most unique navigational landmarks. During the rainy season, NASA's satellites use its perfectly flat surface to calibrate their instruments. There's no other place on Earth so smooth, so reflective, so consistent. It's a reminder that beauty and science often meet in the same space, where wonder becomes measurement and nature becomes a mirror, not just for the sky, but for human discovery itself. Standing in Salar de Uyuni, you begin to feel something profound, a stillness that silences thought. The horizon becomes a line of infinity, and you realize how small we truly are in the face of such vastness. The salt glistens beneath your feet, the clouds swirl above, and everything feels suspended between worlds. You could be anywhere or nowhere. The landscape dissolves the boundaries between heaven and earth, between what's real and what's imagined. At dawn, when the first rays of sunlight spill across the salt, the entire world seems to awaken in gold and white. The mountains in the distance glow faintly pink, and the ground beneath your feet shimmers like crystal. You breathe in the cold, thin air of the Andes, and it feels like inhaling eternity. This is Salar de Uyuni, a place so unreal, it could be a dream. A land of mirrors where the earth reflects the heavens, and time itself stands still. It's not just one of the world's most extraordinary landscapes, it's a reminder that sometimes the most beautiful places on Earth are the ones that make us question whether we're still on Earth at all. In Arizona, sunlight dances through narrow sandstone walls carved by centuries of wind and water, forming natural cathedrals that look sculpted by another civilization. There are places on Earth that defy logic, where fire, acid, and salt come together to create colors that seem impossible, like a painting left behind by an alien world. One of those places exists in the northeastern corner of Ethiopia, deep within the Great Rift Valley. It's called the Danakil Depression, and it's often described as the most hostile place on the planet. But to stand here, to look out across its burning plains and bubbling pools, is to glimpse another world, one that feels closer to Mars than to Earth itself. The moment you arrive, you're struck by the sheer intensity of this landscape. The air shimmers with heat, temperatures often soar past 50 degrees Celsius, sometimes higher. The ground beneath your feet is not Earth as you know it, but a crust of crystallized salt, sulfur, and minerals, painted in hues of neon green, orange, and yellow. Steam rises from fissures, and geysers hiss with a smell of raw chemistry. It's alive, volatile, unpredictable, and breathtaking. The Danakil sits at one of the lowest points on Earth, nearly 125 meters below sea level. Here, tectonic plates are literally tearing the planet apart. The African and Arabian plates drift in opposite directions, opening a wound in the Earth's crust. Magma from deep below pushes upward, creating a landscape in constant transformation. Boiling pools of acid, lava lakes, and salt plains that stretch to the horizon. It's a place that seems impossible for life to exist, yet somehow it thrives. The centerpiece of this alien terrain is Dalo, a geothermal area so vibrant and strange it feels like stepping onto another planet. The ground bubbles with acidic brine, colored by iron oxide and sulfur. The pools glow with toxic beauty, emerald green, golden yellow, and deep rust red. The air burns your throat with its metallic taste. Even your camera lens fogs from the heat and the salt. It's a world sculpted by fire and corrosion, and every shape and color seems to pulse with energy. Scientists come here from around the world to study this otherworldly place. They say the Danakil might hold clues to how life began or how it might exist elsewhere in the universe. The microbes that survive in these acid pools live in conditions once thought impossible. They endure scorching heat, toxic gases, and acidic water that would dissolve metal. If life can exist here, perhaps it can exist on Mars, or the moons of Jupiter. The Danakil is not just Earth's furnace, it's a window into life's extremes. And yet, despite its brutality, people have lived here for centuries. The Afar people, one of the toughest communities on Earth, have adapted to this fiery environment. They mine salt from the plains, cutting it by hand into slabs and loading it onto camels for transport across the desert. Day after day, they walk under the praswal, relentless sun, surrounded by heat, dust, and silence. Their caravans move like shadows across the blinding white landscape, a timeless ritual of endurance and survival. Not far from Dalo, another natural wonder burns with eternal fire, the Erta volcano. Known locally as the gateway to hell, it's one of the few places on Earth where you can look directly into a continuously active lava lake. The molten rock churns and bubbles like a living creature, its glow lighting up the night sky in shades of red and orange. You can feel the heat on your skin, even from a distance. The sound, a deep, rolling growl, seems to come from the core of the planet itself. Reaching Erta isn't easy. The trek takes you through endless desert, across cracked salt flats, and over jagged rock fields. But when you finally stand at the rim and look down into the glowing abyss, you understand why it's called the Smoking Mountain. It's mesmerizing, a reminder that beneath the calm surface of our planet, fire never stops moving. You're staring into the Earth's heartbeat. At night, the Danakil transforms into something almost beautiful. The stars burn bright above the desert, unfiltered by atmosphere or pollution. The lava glows in the distance, flickering like a lantern in the void. And though the heat never fades, the silence deepens. It's the silence of a world that existed long before us and will exist long after we're gone. But the Danakil is not a place to take lightly. It is dangerous, unpredictable, and merciless. The air itself can kill, filled with toxic gases and unbearable heat. Yet it draws explorers, scientists, and filmmakers from around the world, each seeking to understand what this place reveals about the resilience of our planet and the extremes of life itself. Standing here, you realize that beauty isn't always gentle. Sometimes it's violent. Sometimes it's made of fire and acid and unbearable heat. And yet, it's no less magnificent. The Danakil Depression reminds us that the Earth is still wild, still creating, still evolving, still alive. As the sun rises, the desert explodes in color. The salt crust gleams like glass. The sulfur pools sparkle under the light, and the horizon bends in the heat. You can't help but feel that you're standing on the edge of two worlds, one ancient and one yet to be born. This is the Danakil Depression, a living, breathing alien landscape on our own planet. A place so extreme, so surreal, it defies imagination. Here, Earth shows us its rawest face, fierce, untamed, and utterly unforgettable. From fairy chimneys to underground cities and hot air balloons floating at sunrise, Cappadocia feels like a dream built in another dimension. Imagine walking into a crack in the earth, a narrow passage where light dances like fire and stone flows like water. The walls twist and ripple, glowing in shades of orange, gold, and violet. Every step reveals a new pattern, a new secret carved by time. This is Antelope Canyon, one of the most otherworldly places on our planet, a natural cathedral sculpted by wind, water, and light. Hidden in the heart of the Arizona desert, this canyon feels like entering another dimension. From the surface, it's almost invisible, a narrow slit in the sandstone. But step inside, and you're swallowed by a swirling labyrinth of smooth rock, curving and folding like frozen waves. The air cools, the sound softens, and suddenly, you're surrounded by walls that seem alive, breathing, glowing, whispering. It's as if the desert itself is speaking through stone. Antelope Canyon is divided into two main sections: the upper canyon, known as the Crack, and the lower canyon, called the Corkscrew. Both are the result of millions of years of erosion, sculpted by flash floods that rush through the desert during storms. Over centuries, torrents of sand-laden water carved these flowing shapes into the Navajo sandstone, polishing every surface into smooth, liquid curves. The result is nature's masterpiece, a place that looks hand-sculpted by an artist of light. When sunlight streams through the narrow openings above, the magic begins. Shafts of light pierce the darkness, filling the canyon with radiant beams that seem to fall from heaven itself. The dust particles in the air catch the light, turning it into a living column that dances and fades as the sun shifts. Photographers from around the world come here to capture this phenomenon, the play of light and shadow that changes every minute. But no camera, no lens, can truly capture how it feels to be here, to stand in the silence and watch sunlight turn stone into flame. The canyon's walls tell a story written in color. Iron oxide paints the rock in deep reds and oranges. Manganese leaves streaks of purple and blue. The soft light refracts and blends these hues until the entire canyon glows from within. The effect is hypnotic, a living canvas that changes with the hour, the season, the storm. Each curve, each groove, each ripple in the stone carries the memory of wind and water, the slow, patient artistry of the earth itself. The Navajo people, who have lived on this land for generations, call Antelope Canyon Tse Biganilini, the place where water runs through rocks. For them, this isn't just a geological wonder, it's sacred ground. They believe the canyon holds a spiritual presence, a reminder of the balance between destruction and creation, chaos and peace. Before entering, Navajo guides perform a quiet prayer, asking permission from the spirits that dwell within. And as you walk deeper inside, you can feel why. The canyon has an energy that humbles you, a silence so profound it feels alive. Flash floods still shape this canyon today. When storms hit the desert, water can rise in seconds, rushing through the narrow corridors with unstoppable force. It's a reminder that this beauty was born from violence, that creation often begins with destruction. Guides watch the weather carefully, because when the rains come, this dreamlike place becomes deadly. The same floods that carved it can fill it in an instant, sealing off all light and air. Nature never stops sculpting her masterpiece. Every corner of Antelope Canyon reveals a new form. Smooth arches, winding passageways, stone that curves like liquid silk. Some sections are so narrow you have to turn sideways to pass. Others open into vast chambers where sunlight floods in, painting the walls in golden fire. Stand still, and you'll notice the quiet rhythm of the canyon. The whisper of wind, the echo of footsteps, the distant hum of the desert above. It's a place that feels both eternal and fragile, ancient, yet still being born. At midday, when the light hits just right, the canyon becomes a dreamscape. Beams of sunlight cut through the ceiling, forming glowing pillars that descend like divine spotlights. The walls shimmer with color, molten orange, deep crimson, soft pink. As the sun moves, The light bends and shifts, creating a constantly changing illusion. No two moments are ever the same. In that fleeting hour of perfect light, Antelope Canyon becomes something beyond Earth, a vision of color and silence that feels closer to the divine than the physical. When the sun fades and shadows return, the canyon darkens to a deep, cool calm. The colors dim and the temperature drops, but the feeling remains: the awe, the reverence, the sense that you've just walked through the heart of the planet itself. Every ripple, every curve, every beam of light is proof of time's patient hand. You leave, changed, quieted, inspired, aware of the world's hidden artistry. Outside, the desert blazes with light again, harsh and unyielding. But behind you lies a secret world, carved in silence and painted by the Sunday. Antelope Canyon reminds us that the Earth doesn't just create landscapes, it creates emotion. And sometimes, the most extraordinary places are hidden just beneath the surface, waiting for light to find them. This is Antelope Canyon, a wave of stone, a dance of light, a masterpiece written in time. A place so unreal, so ethereal, it feels like Earth briefly borrowed a painter's brush from the stars. Buried deep below Chihuahua, enormous selenite crystals larger than humans shimmer in the darkness. It's a place so extreme, humans can only endure its heat for minutes. Deep beneath the scorching deserts of northern Mexico lies a secret chamber that seems torn from the heart of a science fiction film. A place so surreal it could never be imagined, only discovered. Picture walking into a glowing crystal world, colossal beams of transparent minerals jutting out of the ground like the bones of the earth itself. The air is hot, thick, and shimmering. The light bounces off glass-like walls, illuminating the cavern in a ghostly silver glow. This is Nika's Crystal Cave, one of the most extraordinary natural wonders ever found, and perhaps one of the most dangerous places a human can stand. It was never meant to be seen. In the year 2000, two miners drilling deep under the Nika Mountain in Chihuahua accidentally broke through a wall and stepped into a dreamscape. What they saw defied belief. A chamber 100 meters underground filled with gigantic luminous crystals, some as long as 12 meters, weighing up to 55 tons. These were not delicate shards or shimmering gems. They were titans of gypsum, glowing softly, like frozen light. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying, a world so pure it felt untouched by time. Inside the cave, the temperature hovers around 58 degrees Celsius, 136 degrees Fahrenheit, with humidity near 100%. The air is so dense with moisture that breathing feels like inhaling steam. Within minutes, sweat pours down and heat begins to overwhelm the body. In this environment, a human can survive unprotected for barely 10 minutes before collapsing. Even explorers in cooling suits must constantly monitor their heart rates and body temperatures. One mistake, and this magnificent crystal kingdom becomes a tomb. But that hostile environment is exactly what allowed this phenomenon to exist. For hundreds of thousands of years, hot groundwater rich in minerals flowed through the caverns beneath Nika Mountain. Over eons, as the water cooled slowly, gypsum crystals began to grow not over days or years, but over geological time. The result is a forest of crystals so large and perfect. Scientists call it the Sistine Chapel of crystals. Some are clear as glass, others milky and glowing, catching the faintest light and reflecting it into dazzling beams. Walking through them is like floating through a frozen galaxy of light. Scientists studying the cave found that these crystals grew in almost complete darkness, nurtured by a delicate balance of heat and mineral-rich water. It's a fragile equilibrium that lasted hundreds of thousands of years until human exploration changed everything. Once the miners pumped water out to reach deeper silver and lead veins, the crystals were exposed to air for the first time in their existence. Without the protective heat and moisture, they began to dry and deteriorate. Nature's masterpiece, crafted over eons, began its slow decay in just a few years. Still, for the brief time it was accessible, researchers entered with reverence and awe. NASA scientists even studied the cave, suspecting it could hold clues to life on other planets. Inside the crystals, they discovered tiny pockets of ancient fluid, microscopic time capsules containing microbes that had been trapped for tens of thousands of years. When revived in the lab, some of these microbes showed signs of life organisms that had survived in isolation, without sunlight, oxygen, or contact with the surface. The discovery blurred the line between geology and biology, between life and stone. Standing inside Nika's crystal cave is like standing in the heart of another world. The giant beams crisscross in every direction, forming shimmering corridors that seem to stretch into infinity. Light bends and scatters, bouncing through the crystals like trapped stars. Every movement of air, every beam of a flashlight, transforms the space into a living prism. It's silent except for the faint drip of condensation, a reminder that even here, deep in the Earth's core, water is the artist behind the beauty. But this wonder comes with tragedy. To protect both humans and the crystals, the cave was eventually sealed again and reflooded, its entrance closed, its secret world hidden once more beneath layers of stone and water. It was the only way to preserve its fragile beauty, to let the Earth reclaim its creation. Now, no one knows when or if it will ever be reopened. Deep underground, in eternal heat and darkness, the crystals continue to grow inch by inch in silence. Nika's crystal cave challenges everything we think we know about our planet. It reminds us that beneath our feet lie worlds we may never fully understand, places born not from imagination, but from the patient hand of time. It's a cathedral without builders, a monument to nature's artistry, sculpted in conditions too harsh for life, yet still full of mystery and wonder. If you ever imagine what it might look like to step into the core of another planet, a place where light, heat, and mineral fuse into something otherworldly, this is it. A hidden realm that glows with the memory of creation itself. The Crystal Cave of Nika is not just a place beneath Earth. It's a glimpse into the planet's soul, radiant, dangerous, and timeless. In the end, it stands as both a warning and a wonder, a reminder that the most extraordinary places on Earth are often the ones we're never meant to touch. Glacial blue ice, alien formations, and endless white horizons create a frozen wilderness so pristine it seems untouched by Earth's time. It burns day and night, an inferno in the middle of the desert, a blazing scar on the surface of our planet that seems to lead straight into the underworld. Locals call it the door to hell. From a distance, it looks like the Earth itself has cracked open, revealing the fire beneath our feet. Flames roar, gas hisses, and heat shimmers in waves that distort the horizon. This is Darvaza, the burning gas crater of Turkmenistan, a place so surreal, so otherworldly, that it seems more like the setting of a science fiction movie than something that exists right here on Earth. In the heart of the Karakum Desert, under a sky so vast it feels endless, lies this pit of eternal fire. It stretches nearly 70 meters across and plunges 30 meters deep, roughly the size of a football field. But what truly takes your breath away is not its size. It's the fire that never stops. Dozens of flames dance across the crater's edge, feeding on invisible gas leaking from the Earth's crust. At night, the glow can be seen for miles, a fiery beacon against the cold, dark desert. Travelers say that as you approach, the wind grows hot, and the smell of burning gas fills the air. Then, suddenly, you see it, a raging pit of orange and red, like the Earth has opened its eye and is staring right back at you. The story of how this infernal pit came to be is a mix of accident, mystery, and legend. In 1971, during the Soviet era, geologists were drilling in search of natural gas. Their rigs struck a large underground cavern filled with methane, but the ground couldn't hold. The surface collapsed, swallowing their equipment into a fiery abyss. As toxic gas began leaking into the air, the scientists faced a dilemma: how to stop it from spreading. Their solution was as bold as it was reckless. They set the crater on fire, expecting it to burn for just a few days until the gas ran out. But the gas never stopped. That temporary blaze has now burned continuously for over half a century. Today, the Darvaza gas crater stands as one of the most haunting sights on Earth. Scientists believe underground gas reserves still feed the flames, allowing them to burn indefinitely. It's a living reminder of the unpredictable power of nature and of human error. When you stand at the edge, the heat is overwhelming. The ground beneath your feet vibrates softly, and you can hear the deep, steady roar of fire breathing from below. It's hypnotic, terrifying, and mesmerizing all at once. Yet, in this barren desert, where temperatures soar by day and plummet by night, life still finds a way. Tiny desert foxes roam the rim at dusk, drawn to the warmth and the insects that circle the glowing pit. They are the silent guardians of this forbidden flame, surviving on the edge of what seems like the end of the world. The desert wind howls, carrying sand across the put embers, but the fire continues, defying time, weather, and even human attempts to extinguish it. In 2013, a National Geographic explorer named George Karunis descended into the crater, the first human to do so. Wearing a heat-resistant suit and carrying scientific instruments, he braved temperatures of nearly 1,000 degrees Celsius to collect soil samples. Inside, he found evidence of microbial life organisms, surviving in conditions scientists once thought impossible. It was a groundbreaking discovery that hinted at what life might look like on other planets, thriving in places of fire and gas where no sunlight reaches. The door to hell, it seemed, was not just a symbol of destruction but also of resilience. But even as it fascinates travelers and scientists alike, Darvaza poses a challenge for the future. Turkmenistan's government has announced plans to extinguish the flames to prevent further gas waste and environmental damage. Yet many locals and explorers resist the idea. They see it as more than just a gas crater. It's a symbol of their land, a testament to both human folly and the enduring spirit of nature. The fire has become a legend, drawing adventurers from across the world to witness its fury. Standing before it, you can't help but feel small. The flames seem to breathe, rising and falling like the heartbeat of the earth itself. The desert sky above is filled with stars, silent witnesses to a fire that has burned for generations. You realize that what you're seeing is not just a natural wonder, but a moment in Earth's story, a reminder of how fragile the balance is between creation and destruction. The door to hell doesn't just burn in Turkmenistan's desert, it burns in our imagination. It's a mirror reflecting humanity's eternal curiosity, our mistakes, and our awe at the forces we cannot control. When you leave, its image lingers in your mind. A glowing pit in the middle of nowhere, alive with fire, whispering from the depths of the earth. Perhaps the most haunting thing about Darvaza isn't its endless flame, but the silence that surrounds it. A silence broken only by the hiss of gas and the crackle of eternal fire, as if the planet itself is breathing, reminding us that beneath our feet, there are powers older and greater than we can ever truly comprehend. And as the desert night falls, the crater glows brighter, a fiery jewel in a sea of darkness. A beacon from another world, burning endlessly, daring us to look closer and remember just how extraordinary our own planet can be. A real-life scientific mystery, blood-red water seeping from beneath a glacier. The source? Ancient microbes and iron-rich brine that have flowed for millennia beneath the ice. There are places on Earth that feel so otherworldly. They challenge our very sense of what's real. Places where color, texture, and life itself defy logic. Deep in the heart of Ethiopia lies one such wonder, a place so extreme and hostile that scientists call it the closest thing to Mars on Earth. Welcome to the Danakil Depression, one of the hottest, driest, and most alien landscapes our planet has ever created. But as you'll soon see, beneath the shimmering heat and sulfur clouds, the Danakil hides a beauty so surreal, it seems born from another world. At first glance, the Danakil looks like a mirage, a kaleidoscope of yellow, orange, and neon green stretching across the horizon. Pools of acid bubble beside salt flats that sparkle like ice, while geysers hiss out plumes of steam laced with toxic gases. The ground itself seems alive, constantly shifting, bubbling, and breathing, as though the Earth's crust is only a thin skin above something ancient and restless below. Temperatures here regularly exceed 50 degrees Celsius, 122 degrees Fahrenheit, and yet, this blistering cauldron of acid and flame holds life, microscopic organisms that thrive where nothing else can survive. But this alien wonder wasn't shaped by life. It was born from the violence of fire and stone. The Danakil Depression sits at the junction of three tectonic plates, the African, Arabian, and Somali plates, all pulling apart from each other in a slow-motion geological tug-of-war. As the Earth's crust tears open, magma rises close to the surface, heating groundwater until it erupts through cracks in the Earth. The result is a toxic, dazzling landscape of mineral springs, sulfuric pools, and volcanic domes, a place where creation and destruction exist side by side. The most breathtaking area within the depression is Dallo, often called the gateway to hell. From above, it looks like a painting splashed with color brilliant yellows from sulfur, vivid greens from copper, and streaks of white salt that crust over bubbling pools. The air smells sharp, metallic, and heavy with sulfur, stinging your nose and throat with every breath. The ground crunches beneath your feet, delicate crusts of salt that crumble with the slightest pressure. And beneath that crust, acidic waters churn and gurgle, ready to break through in violent bursts. Standing there, surrounded by vapor and color, you feel as if you've stepped onto an alien planet, perhaps one of Jupiter's moons or the surface of Venus. The sun blazes overhead, the ground smokes below, and every direction you look reveals a new shape, a new color, a new reminder that Earth is far stranger and more complex than we can ever imagine. Despite its hostility, the Danakil Depression has been home to humans for centuries. The Afar people, among the toughest nomadic tribes in the Prussian world, have lived here for generations, herding camels and mining salt under a sun that can kill within hours. They cut salt slabs from the earth by hand, each one weighing dozens of kilograms, then load them onto camel caravans that march for days across the desert. Watching them move through this infernal landscape feels like witnessing an ancient ritual, a link to humanity's earliest days of survival and endurance. But even more extraordinary is what scientists have discovered here in recent years. In the toxic pools of Dallo, where the water is as acidic as battery acid and temperatures soar beyond boiling, researchers have found extremophiles, microorganisms that not only endure but thrive in conditions lethal to almost all other forms of life. These discoveries have changed how we think about life itself. If organisms can survive here, then perhaps life could exist in the acidic lakes of Venus or beneath the icy crust of Europa. The Danakil isn't just a window into Earth's past, it's a glimpse of life's potential future beyond our world. And yet, even this bizarre paradise of extremes is fragile. The colorful pools of Dallo shift constantly as mineral flows change and gas vents open or close. Pools that existed one year may vanish the next, replaced by new ones bubbling into existence. The Earth is alive here, constantly reshaping its own face in a fiery dance of renewal. Travelers who return years later often find a landscape completely transformed. Proof in the Danakil, nothing stays still for long. But perhaps the most powerful part of standing in the Danakil isn't the heat or the color, or even the danger. It's the feeling of standing at the edge of Earth's imagination. Here, surrounded by the fumes of a living planet, you feel like an explorer on another world, watching creation unfold before your eyes. The earth breathes here, it glows, it hisses, and it burns. And in its breath, you hear a reminder of what our planet truly is. A living, evolving being, endlessly creating and destroying, endlessly alive. As the sun sets, the colors of Dalol intensify, glowing gold, crimson, and deep emerald, as if the desert itself were on fire. Steam rises in ghostly pillars, and shadows dance across the salt plains. The silence is broken only by the hiss of gas and the bubbling of acid. You stand there, surrounded by heat and color, and realize this is not just another landscape. This is the Earth's laboratory, a place where the impossible becomes real. And as the last light fades from the sky, the Danakil still burns not with flame, but with life, mystery, and an unearthly beauty that feels like a dream. You leave it behind, but it doesn't leave you. It lingers in your eyes, in your memory, and in your understanding of just how extraordinary our planet truly is. Off Yemen's coast lies a forgotten island filled with twisted dragon blood trees and bizarre plants that exist nowhere else on Earth. It's a glimpse into a world lost to time and evolution. Some places seem to exist outside the laws of nature, where light bends differently, where color becomes emotion, and where silence feels alive. Deep in the vastness of South America lies one of Earth's greatest illusions, the Salar de Uyuni in Bolivia. Stretching over 10,000 square kilometers, it is the largest salt flat on Earth, and perhaps the closest thing we have to walking on the surface of another world. When you first step onto it, it feels unreal. The horizon vanishes. The sky melts into the earth. You lose all sense of where the world begins and ends. Once an ancient lake, known as Lake Minchin, Salar de Uyuni, was formed when it dried up tens of thousands of years ago, leaving behind a thick, endless crust of salt. Today, this crust gleams under the Bolivian sun like a field of shattered glass, smooth, white, and infinite. But what makes Salar de Uyuni so otherworldly happens only after the rain. A thin layer of water turns this vast plain into a perfect mirror, reflecting the heavens above with impossible clarity. When the sun rises or sets, the earth disappears entirely, and all that's left is you floating between two skies. Imagine standing there, surrounded by silence so complete it hums in your ears. The horizon stretches forever in every direction, yet there's no hills, no movement, only you, the wind, and the reflection of eternity. It's in this moment you realize that Salar de Uyuni isn't just a landscape, it's an illusion crafted by nature itself, a doorway into something divine. During the dry season, the surface cracks into perfect geometric patterns, hexagons stretching endlessly, formed by the natural evaporation of water and salt. They look almost engineered, as if the planet itself had been tiled by some higher intelligence. In the distance, the outlines of volcanic mountains shimmer like mirages, their peaks breaking through the mirrored sky like islands in a celestial sea. Among them rises Volcan Tunupa, an extinct volcano wrapped in legend. The local Aymara people tell the story of Tunupa as a goddess whose tears form the salt flats, a myth that feels poetic when you see how vast and sorrowful the landscape can be. Despite its alien nature, the Salar is full of life, just not in ways you expect. Every winter, it becomes a refuge for thousands of flamingos that gather to nest on the shallow waters. Their pink forms drift across the reflection like brushstrokes on a painting. Tiny cacti sprout from the surface of ancient coral islands, remnants of when this land was still an ocean. And beneath the salt crust lies a hidden treasure, lithium, the metal that powers our modern world. Beneath the beauty, Salar de Uyuni is the largest lithium reserve on Earth, a silent reminder that even the most surreal wonders are deeply tied to human destiny. At night, the transformation is even more unreal. When darkness falls, the Salar becomes a cosmic mirror. The Milky Way reflects perfectly on the water, and you find yourself standing between two galaxies, one above, one below. The stars appear infinite, close enough to touch, while your reflection drifts through the constellations. It's not just beautiful, it's spiritual. The kind of sight that humbles you, that strips away everything you think you know about reality. Here, under a Bolivian sky, you don't just see the universe, you feel it. Travelers often describe Salar de Uyuni as an awakening, a place where earth and sky dissolve into one eternal horizon. But beyond its surreal beauty lies something deeper, a reminder of balance. The salt flats are both barren and full of life, fragile yet powerful, desolate yet divine. In a world that never stops moving, this place stands perfectly still. It invites you to stop, to breathe, to look, and to realize that sometimes the most extraordinary places are born from stillness. As the dawn breaks, the first rays of sunlight paint the sky in pinks and golds. The reflection glows so vividly that it feels like the world is being reborn. The ground shimmers beneath your feet, and for a moment, you can't tell whether you're walking on air or on water. It's the kind of beauty that's impossible to capture, the kind that lives only in memory, in emotion. Salar de Uyuni doesn't just show you the planet. It shows you yourself, reflected in its infinite mirror. This isn't just a wonder of nature. It's proof that our world is capable of magic, that beneath the science, beneath the logic, there are places that still remind us how extraordinary existence can be. Standing there, between earth and sky, you understand that not everything needs to make sense to be real. Some things are simply meant to be felt. And so, as the final rays of sunlight turn the salt flats into an ocean of fire and glass, you realize that maybe, just maybe, Earth doesn't need other planets to look alien. Because right here, in this vast, glowing silence, our own world already feels like another. And as the last light fades from these impossible horizons, we are left with a single truth. Our world is stranger, wilder, and more magnificent than we could ever imagine. We've walked through deserts that breathe fire, stood before lakes that glow in the dark, and watched the heavens reflect upon the earth. But what lingers isn't just the beauty, it's the feeling, that deep, quiet awe of realizing that we live on a planet unlike any other. A world that still creates, still surprises, still dreams. The places you've seen aren't from another planet. They are reminders of what our planet truly is. Alive, powerful, infinite. So the next time you look at the sky, remember, the most alien world you'll ever discover might just be the one beneath your feet. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed exploring Prague as much as I enjoyed guiding you through it. If you found this travel guide helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more beautiful destinations from around the world. Got a favorite spot in Prague? Drop it in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, safe travels, and see you in the next video.